What's up, guys? Welcome back. This is going to be a part 4 video on the restoration of my $50 TEAM LOSI XXX-NT. In the previous videos, I showed you exactly what was wrong with it, and the main issue that this RC had was, obviously missing electronics that I had to install. It also had a completely seized OS 12 CVX motor. I was able to repair it. I did get it started and running in the third part of this video. Feel free to check that out. I didn't have any running footage because this thing was basically untunable. I could not get it to hold a tune. So after a little bit more work with the carburetor that this thing originally had, this is the original OS 10E rotary carb. They call it rotary because you have this, basically it's a rotation like this instead of a slide mechanism for the carb venturi. It came down to the fact that this little grommet here, which is a dust boot, it fits on over the top of this arm right here. I had to take it off and I soaked it in WD-40 for about a day or two, but it is still relatively hard and it causes way too much friction with the carb body. So with this thing disconnected, I'm not quite sure if this was creating some kind of a vacuum issue, but either way, even after I cleaned out the carb, it still did not hold a tune. It was very hard to tune. It would just shut off whenever I pressed the brakes. So lucky for me, I had a spare carburetor laying around and I do have it installed in the car right now. I have a second one. It's exactly the same as the one I have it in the car. I was just basically lucky. Originally, when I purchased my HPI Nitro RS43 Drift, very cool RC, guys. This is a Drift Nitro car. Very cool layout. Actually, let me take maybe a couple seconds to show you the chassis. Look at this really interesting, cool chassis. This thing has a very unique center motor layout, basically for weight distribution and drift wheels. Really cool. The Nitro drift cars never took off. Brushless is basically where it's at. But I gotta say, this is one of my favorite cars to this day. Back when I purchased this car, I thought that it had some kind of issue with the carburetor, so I called up HPI support and they sent me a spare carburetor. They actually sent me two. This is a more modern composite body carburetor as opposed to the obviously all metal OS carburetor. And with this, we're gonna try to start it and get it running. It's very cold outside. It's about 10 degrees. It is windy. I'm not gonna be doing a lot of audio. I might do a voiceover later while this thing is running. But for now, let's go out to the field. I'm gonna start it. But first, I gotta get something to eat myself. It's just so cold. Gotta get those calories in. And by the way, yeah, that's right. I did shave. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about if you watched the previous video here. An interesting and yet positive quirk I've noticed on the TEAM LOSI XXX-NT as compared to my Traxxas Nitro Rustler. These are both from around the same time frame. They're both two-wheel drive stadium trucks. Let me take the body off. They're both running Nitro motors, right? The front wheels. So I know for a fact that the front wheels on both of these are original. The rear wheels here are not original. They're pretty good. I just basically have to use them to get it started and running. The originals are just so deteriorated, they are not usable. But take a look at these front wheels. I'm going to squeeze the TEAM LOSI one right here a little bit. Look at how nice and firm and dense that foam inside is. It is really good. So the wheel is in very good shape. The rubber is pliable, it is smooth, it's soft. The XXX Nitro Rustler tire, it is way too soft. So as I squeeze it, I could literally lift, you know, the rubber kind of a little bit off of the foam. Yeah, it is true, you get what you pay for. Even though this was a ready-to-run version, they wanted you to know it was ready to run. I mean, I had no problem almost restoring this RC, even though, yeah, I had a lot of the parts, mainly the carb. If I didn't have the carb, this would be a pretty big situation. The motor ran pretty rough because, you know, there's probably some kind of vacuum leak due to the carburetor issue. Another notable thing that I really got to tell you guys about the Team Losi is the clutch setup. So I've ran, you know, many nitro RCs that are over 15 years old, including many HPIs, and they all have a common issue. The clutch spring stretches out a little bit and probably doesn't do a good enough job holding the clutch together, so you wind up having kind of a creeping RC when you're at idle. Very irritating, pretty hard to tune. This one, the clutch spring is really good. This thing stays put when it's at idle. It doesn't inch forward. I'm just really surprised at how good some of the quality parts on this are. Okay guys, I'm back home now. I had a chance to warm up, run my hands under some hot water. That was really nice. My overall thoughts on the restoration of this Losi XXX-NT, very nice RC. I gotta say, one of my favorite things about it is the suspension. You know, a lot of times with these older RCs, the wheels are terrible, but these were really, really good on the road. I mean, I even made some pretty fast turns at pretty much top speeds, and it did not flip a single time. Let me show you what the suspension looks like, you know, when I just basically just drop it like this. Look at how planted that is. This thing is just so nice. Do you see that equal rebound that the rear has? Is just really nice, weighted, planted. Suspension is fantastic. This is one of the main reasons I like these kind of high-end professional RCs. Traxxas is great and all, but their suspension is nowhere as good as these shocks that this model has. In a previous video where I discussed some of the parts I got, you know, I showcased that I got a really cheap HSP air filter, and this thing is pretty good, but I did notice that it is just really, really flexible. So you could easily just squeeze it like this with your hands, and you know, it seems good and all for $1.50 that I think I paid for it, but it is really hard to put back onto the carb. So no wonder that Motor Saver air filters are more rigid than this. This does work, but it is just kind of tough to put on. Also, you could tell that the actual foam filter sticks out a little bit at the top. So, you know, you can trim it a little bit at the bottom here. That is basically what I'm going to have to do because it just pretty much sticks out. I don't like it. It looks a little bit unneat to me. Another interesting thing I noticed, you know, when you're looking at a pretty competitive RC here, the Team Losi, and you're looking at something to compete it with, but more of a down market type segment, the XXX Nitro Rustler. These are both two-wheel drive stadium truck designs. They're basically similar in their layout. The front wheels. So the rear wheels here are not the original wheels, but my Team Losi does have the original wheels that it came with, and they are very, very good. Even the foam compound inside, the foam thickness and firmness is very good. You know, when I squeeze my XXX Rustler front tires, they're just extremely soft. I'm not quite sure if the foam inside deteriorated over the time, but these wheels are pretty much just for, you know, standing on a bench. But there it is, guys. Thanks so much for watching. When it warms up outside, I'm going to make sure to do a couple of better runs. I'm going to get better footage for this. We're going to mount a cam that doesn't shake on this later on. I got a new run cam, the Polaroid Cube Act 2. Pretty good for the price, 30 bucks, you know, whatever. It's fine. Thanks so much for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe. If you've had any of these in the past, please put it in there also. Does anyone really love the XXX Rustler out there? I think it's a pretty okay design, but it's definitely nowhere close to compare to the Team Losi right here. Till next time.
There's just so much goddamn weight on my shoulders. All I'm trying to do is live my motherfucking life. Supposed to be happy, but I'm only getting colder. Wear a smile on my face, but there's a demon inside. There's just so much goddamn weight on my shoulders. All I'm trying to do is live my motherfucking life. Supposed to be happy, but I'm only getting colder. Wear a smile on my face, but there's a demon inside.